of the Standards Committee hybrid meeting. Can we just check who's here?
So do you want people just to introduce
Yeah.
themselves?
So if you could each introduce yourself one at a time. So I can't quite read the names.
Shall I start?
Yeah, Carol will call you out. Yeah.
Okay, so Claire Moore.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Claire Moore and I'm an independent member and vice chair.
Councillor Bev Bainham.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. Sorry, apologies. I'm not quite sure what's going on with my mic and camera at the moment. So, yeah, I'm Councillor Beverly Bainham and I'm the current chair of the council, but I'm here just as a member of the Standards Committee. So thank you.
Councillor William Powell.
Hello, this is my first proper regular meeting as opposed to the group leaders meeting or the tail end of that I joined previously. It's good to be on board and thank you very much. Look forward to contributing as I can.
Russell Stavatoli.
Yes, you've got my name and I'm an independent lay member. Thank you.
Nigel Stewart.
I'm Nigel Stewart and I'm an independent member.
Chair.
Yeah, I'm Stephen Hayes and I'm the chair of the Standards Committee.
In addition, we've got Karen Coldrick, Councillor Karen Coldrick, who is a member of the Standards Subcommittee. And then we've got, so just sitting as observing this meeting. And then we've got Councillor Stephen Deeks de Silva, who you note on your papers that you will be considering his appointment to the Standards Subcommittee.
Yeah.
So he's sitting in the room with us.
Okay.
Debbie Jones.
Oh, afternoon, everyone. Debbie Jones, Deputy Monitoring Officer and Legal Advisor for Powys. Afternoon.
So, Chair, as far as apologies concerned, we've got apologies from independent member Jonathan Goulden. Councillor Liz Reinberg is due to join us at around 2:30. She's currently undertaking some mandatory training for foster panel. And Councillor Ian McIntosh was hoping to attend. He did accept the meeting, but he's not here at currently. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are forward because we've got the independent member.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is to authorise the chair to sign the minutes of the previous meetings. Has everyone had a chance to have a read of the meeting minutes?
Mhm.
And does anyone have any observations? No. Okay.
There's 3 sets of minutes. Should we run through just for to get the
Yeah, by all means.
So 21st of June 2023. Let's vote on those.
Right, so the minutes for the 21st of June 2023. All right, could I have yes, and a seconder?
I'll propose.
Proposer, that's the word. Any seconders for the 21st of June?
What to be clear.
Claire, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Apologies, I've frozen, but I'm very happy to second them. Sorry.
Sorry,
But
yeah,
I'll turn my video off, I think, because I keep freezing. So sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Bainham. Okay, so we've got a seconder then, 21st of June. And that's for the 27th of January. That's only Nigel and myself could cover those.
Yes.
Do you want to propose?
I'll propose.
And I'll second.
There are just a couple of errors on those minutes in terms of the attendance of the independent members. So approval of renewals was just making a slight amendments to who was in attendance at those meetings.
Yes, it's that mistake. Ian McIntosh and Liz Lindbergh has been put down as the
Yes.
put down
It doesn't
twice.
alter the content.
And the same again for the 26th of June. That was a confidential meeting, and subject to McIntosh and Lindbergh being removed as independent members, I would propose those minutes as being acceptable.
Second.
Thank you, Nigel. Right. So that's the minutes. Number 3, any declarations of interest? Has anybody got any declarations of interest at all on the topics we're expecting to discuss? No. And we now turn to the report of the head of the legal and monitoring officer. And in his place, we have Debbie.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be presenting the monitoring officer's report. That's the report of Clive Pinney, which is at number 4 in your agenda. So what I propose to do for these is go through each item by their heading, and then any discussions can arise following each heading if members so wish. So A is general standards issues for councillors, county councillors and co-opted members. There's no update at present. Members' attendance, as you're aware, members, we have a duty to consider any attendance and attendance that falls below the requisite 60%. I think you'll note from the previous meeting that we had that there was some discussions around members whose attendance had fallen slightly below. And they were contacted with a view in terms of that attendance, and an explanation was provided. Today, I can confirm that in relation to one member whose attendance was below, during the period of May 2022 to 2023, they have provided a confidential response to the chair and the vice chair, which I believe they've seen. And we are advised, or rather I should advise the committee, that since May 2023, the attendance of this member has been 100%. So, Chair, I believe you've had that explanation.
Yes, we have.
If you were satisfied.
Myself and Claire, and we're both satisfied with the explanation given.
Thank you. Referrals of councillors to the Ombudsman Wales. So at C1, you'll see we've now changed the format slightly for referrals that have been made. So they're now in a tabular form. We've given some abbreviations so you can see the dates that things are received. I think that will make it easier to track, because I know we've had lots of discussions in the past around delays with Ombudsman investigations. Therefore, we've set out a chart so you can see the date that the complaint that we were informed of the complaint, whether or not it was investigated, and the process thereafter. Just there's a slight error on the first item that's in the table, which is 02CC20. These are references that the local authority provide for referrals to the Ombudsman, so we can track them. So the Ombudsman Wales decision was referred to standards on the 17th of February 2022. There's just a little slash missing there. You'll see there's 5 items that have been referred to the Ombudsman, and their status is included. The last 3, you'll know, they're still being considered. 2 are still being considered and investigated at present. There's also reference to 04CC21, which was former councillor Karen Laurie Parry. There was a hearing. Oh, Councillor Liz, welcome. There was a hearing in relation to that matter and that code of conduct complaint, which was concluded on the 6th of July this year. I just need to clarify, there was a sanction imposed by the adjudication panel for Wales, which was an 18-month disqualification for that former member. There's some details further on that are being provided in the report, but just wanted to clarify that that was disqualification imposed by the adjudication panel for Wales. I said I'd stop after each one, but I'll stop.
Yeah. So, any questions on this section on the standards committee? Sorry, the page. The county council referrals. Does anybody have any questions? I think nice.
Yeah, it's concerning CC20. Is it possible to have an update on on that particular.
Oh, I think it's moved to the bottom page, so that one has been considered and dealt with by the Standards Committee. Oh, you're asking for an update?
I'm asking for an update. I was on the panel that
Oh, you were,
considered that confidentially earlier in the summer. And I've now asked twice for an update on the matter.
So I'm not quite sure what
No,
update you
well,
were looking for.
The last time I heard was that the individual had been notified of the outcome of the committee and he had 2 weeks to respond. I haven't heard anything since.
You will just assume that the censure stands and there is no further update in relation to that
Right.
matter. So the sanction that was imposed by the Standards Committee is the sanction that's applied.
So did the individual come back?
Well, there's been no appeal, no.
Right.
We would have updated you in terms of anything further movements, but there is no update to that.
So I
sanction
just
that's
thought it
been
a bit strange that the panel didn't hear anything, and I never received a response when I asked specific questions.
imposed.
Yeah, sorry, that was my fault as well. Yeah, probably because I didn't quite understand what you were after.
Right.
But yeah, had the individual responded, we would have been notified. So we don't normally hear, you know, when we've done this sort of thing before, we just issue the sanction and then that's it. We don't hear anything more.
Right. And the sanction isn't made public.
Yeah,
Right.
it's been published.
Right, does anybody else have any questions? Councillor Powell?
Hello, Chair. Thank you, Chair. My one question was also sort of around issues around communications, and that is that two of these matters have received quite considerable press attention. I just wanted to better understand if it's permissible, what level of to what extent the work and the outcomes of this committee are proactively communicated, press released, or whether it's the level of interest that obviously has been generated by two cases in relatively short time. I think met the front page of one of the local newspapers and possibly others, which I don't see. I just wanted to get a better understanding of that, or whether this is just the due diligence of the local democracy reporters scrutinising our activities. And my second question, if it's permissible again, is whether or not the committee sort of tracks the level of activity, the level of referrals to the Ombudsman, and whether that's captured in some sort of annual monitoring to give a sense of the health and the nature of the overall councillor body, really, in relation to, in as far as that's a measure of the health of it year on year. Thank you.
Anything from the APW, we don't get involved with. When the Standards Committee have heard a case, a brief press release is made, just giving the headline, as it were, of what the censure is. We don't normally go into any more details than that.
Says Chair.
Of course, please.
If the hearings are confidential, then the details won't necessarily be published because the public are excluded from those meetings.
Yeah,
so it may
sure.
be slightly different in that regard, Councillor William. In terms of the sanctions that are imposed, they are made public and a press release is made, as it was with that one. And you're absolutely right, it will depend on the interest from local democracy reporting as to where you see that. But there was a press release in relation to that.
Okay, I'm grateful for that. It was just to understand, because there were just two high-profile cases in a short time. That's pure chance, I guess. But it's not unnatural. But it's useful to have a little bit of background.
Yes, and in relation to the APW matters, they are dealt with entirely by the adjudication panel for Wales. So they notify us of their decision and then they publish on their website. So it's on all the websites, the Ombudsman websites, the APW websites. And they really, we have no control over how they publish their sanctions, but they do notify us of that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
In terms
And whether
of-
or not they're investigating, or whether something is dismissed at the first hurdle, or whatever so that's obviously beyond our remit, and we wouldn't therefore be scrutinising that, because we've got plenty of other work to do, I guess. But appreciate that clarification also.
Also, if it assists, we don't release information, as you've seen from the charts. We update, myself and Carol update the Standards Committee. I'm the contact officer for the Ombudsman, so we update the Standards Committee in terms of any referrals that we receive, their status. So if they're being investigated, if they've not been investigated. So all complaints are reported to the Standards Committee, so you can track those. You won't by names because they remain confidential until obviously they're, for obvious reasons, for natural justice, they're not, we don't disclose those names until we are entitled to do so. Just following on, I think, from your second question, Councillor Powell, I do update also internally, corporately, on statistics for maladministration from the Ombudsman and also code of conduct complaints. So they are filtered through at some point. And obviously you as a Standards Committee get to see all the referrals that come through to me from the Ombudsman.
Thank you very much. That's really helpful and adds to my understanding. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Powell. Any other questions? Sorry, Councillor Lewis. Oh, yes.
Thank you, Chair. It's just going back slightly, and because I came in a little bit late, just a quick question for Debbie. There was mention of reinstatement of a case book, and I've got no idea what a case book is in the previous section.
And that the Ombudsman produces information about once a month, every so often, and they used to have a case book way of providing that information. They then changed it so that you have to look up a particular code of conduct to see what cases come from that, and it wasn't easy to track and follow. The casebook way of presenting the information was so much easier. Just quick scan and see whether it's relevant or not. So it's just a different way of presenting the information.
Okay, thank you.
So Liz, you're ahead of me because that was an F and I hadn't got there yet.
All right. Oh, I thought it was
You're
before.
No, it's absolutely fine.
Sorry, Debbie.
No, not at all. The chair has explained really well. We used to just have the case books that set them out really clearly, whereas they put it in your findings now. That's a little bit more tricky to navigate. So I think a lot of the monitoring officers in Wales have suggested they revert back to the case books because they are a lot easier to navigate. So
yeah, I did try to click on one of the cases, but I couldn't get any further on it. But you know.
And can I just thank thank you for putting this information in a tabular form, which is a lot easier to follow. Thank you. Okay, back to you.
So section D dispensations, we haven't received any from county councillors. Appointments to the Standards Community Subcommittee. We've received nominations for a vacancy on the Radnorshire Town and Community Council of the subcommittee. One nomination was received, and I recommend today that Town Councillor Stephen Deeks de Silva, who sat next to me, be appointed to the Standards Committee subcommittee to represent the town and the community councils in Radnorshire. That the term of office of the Town and Community Councillor will be for the maximum term permitted under existing regulations. That's currently 5 years, or until they cease to be a councillor or resign, which ever occurs first. That will ensure that the Standards subcommittee is constituted properly in line with our constitution on the subcommittee membership. Over to you, Chair.
Right, looking for proposers and seconders. Oh, unless you have any questions of Mr. So, Councillor Powell.
I was just going to propose Councillor Deeks de Silva as outlined by Debbie in her earlier remarks.
Thank you, Councillor Powell. Is anybody a seconder?
Happy to second.
Okay, Claire, thank you. And welcome to the Standards Subcommittee.
I hope to be a useful member. Thank you.
Welcome.
So moving on to F, which was the one that Councillor Liz had kindly highlighted before. It's just around the findings element and how we're going to try and revert back, hopefully, to the casebooks. It does include a search facility, but as I think Councillor Liz, you've obviously highlighted, it is quite difficult to navigate. So hopefully we'll make some progress in possibly reinstating the old casebook. So we'll keep you posted on that. Chairs, any other questions on that section?
Yeah, I think we'll move on, yeah.
Section G is the adjudication panel for Wales. You can actually go onto their website if you're interested in looking at recent decisions of theirs regarding the code. We've attached, the link is embedded for you if you wanted to look at it in your own time. But we thought there's a few cases that we thought we'd bring to your attention specifically. The first one is Councillor Steve Davis from the Ceredigion Council. This is particularly interesting because the APW had utilised their powers to actually suspend this member during the investigation stage because of the potential prejudice that they thought may arise during those investigations. And there was a 6-month temporary suspension imposed for the grounds that we've set out there. So, and I think that was largely because on a prima facie basis, they believed that there would be grounds to disqualify this member in any event, and therefore it wouldn't have been something that wouldn't have been out of their powers to impose at that point. And obviously it's in the public interest to suspend because of the risk during the investigation. So we pop that one in there for you. Feel free to have a look at it if you so choose. And the other one is obviously what we discussed earlier, which is former County Councillor Caroline Parry. Obviously she was a former councillor at Powys County Council and was disqualified for 18 months. The disqualification is quite a significant period, and it was for making repeated unsubstantiated allegations about officers. There was a breach of confidence also in relation to council work. There was repeated allegations regarding lack of transparency, conflicts of interest, corruption by the local authority. Sorry, members. And a lot of the allegations that were made by this councillor were around, how they were capable of undermining the public confidence in the council and its officers. So the APW took a fairly robust view in terms of that conduct, hence the disqualification. And so obviously some of the details are in there for you.
Yes, of course, sorry. Does anybody have any questions on section, the page? No, G. G. No? Okay, please move on.
HAPE is the National Forum for Standards Committees. The forum met on the 30th of June 2023. The notes are attached in the pack. The guidance, I believe, is attached. I mean, the guidance essentially just follows through with the new legislation and put the legislation in there, but most notably the Local Government Elections Wales Act 2021. And you'll probably all recall, and some have had some training from me in terms of the new duties on group leaders in terms of standards of conduct expected. So the guidance just gives some more narrative really around what the legislation says, just so it can be clear to group leaders who obviously have that duty imposed upon them now by the legislation. I've listed the guidance in there, so just so it shows you the list basically of how it's assisting group leaders. Also the duty to cooperate with the monitoring officer and the standards committee. As you know, group leaders have a duty to cooperate with this committee and the monitoring officer in terms of relationships and conduct of their group members. There There's also, I think you may recall that there was a form that had been prepared with the chair and Flintshire together. We'd produced a document for group leaders to complete for us to consider how their members were conducting themselves. I understand now that monitoring officers across Wales are looking at a Wales form so that there's that consistency across Wales, because there is the potential that all different authorities could have different sets of criteria. So to make it easier for all group leaders and for local authorities, we're hoping that we're going to have some guidance very soon around one form for all standards committees and local authorities, so that we can all be looking at the same issues when we're looking at conduct and the expectations on group leaders. So it's pretty much, I'll keep you posted on that one. And guidance on functions of the standards committee. I've set that out. It's essentially section 8 of Powys County Council constitution, so it's just repeated essentially, you know, the duty that you'll record the annual report to council on standards committee work. So that's incorporated, and there's guidance in relation to all of those elements too. And Chair, I believe you attended, did you?
Yes, I did. Yes.
I'll leave that.
Right. Does anybody have any questions on that at all?
The notes
No.
are contained in the pack, Chair. Guidance is short, so.
Okay.
And just meeting dates, if everyone can please just note the meeting dates that are included in section J of the report, and the next meeting being the 7th of February, so after Christmas. Thank you, members.
So that was the report by the monitoring officer. We now come on to observing county council meetings. I've observed one, and so has Claire, and the reports are in there. Does anyone have any observations? No. So Russell, did you?
Yes, I heard my name. I've just switched my microphone on.
All right. So it looks as if you're going to ask a question.
Well, yes, I was anticipating a question. I have been a bit late in submitting it, but I did put forward a proposal to attend the meeting, I think 7th of March next year. There were some dates given, and I think I sent that one in. I wondered if that's been accepted, or perhaps someone else is doing that.
Just check.
I've just, thank you, Russell, for your email. Yes, I'm just updating the list. So
Okay.
I've not heard anything from Jonathan yet.
Jonathan.
So I need to get his dates as well. So once I've got that, then I'll email around everybody to confirm for the rest of the meeting at the end of this year. I think it's 7th of December, and then throughout next year.
So the 7th of March looks possible for me, so I'll stick it in the diary.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have you put your name forward,
Yes.
Nigel?
Yes, I've had Nigel.
Oh, fine.
Yeah.
Is that February?
That was your first option.
Oh.
Yeah, you gave me some options, so I just need to see what others can do. So now we've got the dates for 2024. I just need to fill in all of those. So I'll once I've got everybody's responses, I will email around with the rota.
It's certainly some of the independent members that
Yes.
need to observe.
Yes, yeah.
I'm sure you county councillors have seen many meetings. Councillor Bear?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I know I'm here at Standards Committee and I can see that report that has been given, but Carol and Chair, I wonder if it's possible from this meeting and going forward in the future, if we could share those observations with the Chair, because there's some really useful comments in there, such as the likes of reminding members to turn mobile phones off and things. That's good practice for those who are in the Chair. So it would be quite good if we could communicate that back to whoever the chair of council, or could be chair of scrutiny, or whichever, but certainly chair of council. If we could do that, just to forward the notes on it, I think just that little observation would be useful and helpful for the chair, if that would be okay.
Makes a lot of sense. I think that's a very good idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, right, sorry. I can't see that. It's covered up over there. Hi, Claire. You
Hi
got a
there.
question?
Well, no, it's not a question. No, I was just going to say it was a really incredibly useful experience to observe the meeting, and I would definitely recommend other members to take the opportunity, really. I observed it online, but I think if I did it again, I would try and get into the chamber and actually sit there. I think you get a better feel of the meeting and the issues that were discussed. So I hope the observations were helpful, and I think that's a really great suggestion by Councillor Bev to circulate it to the chairs of other committees. But yes, it was a really, really useful experience. So I found the opportunity really helpful. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Right. Oh, right. Number 6, overseeing the council's laws and protocols on accountability of members. Do you have any comments on that, Debbie?
Chair, all I wanted was to just, I know as part of our forward work programme, we look at the sections that relate to conduct, and obviously section 21 is the protocol. So there was just highlighted in that protocol, and also if there's any discussions around what's in that, whether the members want to make any comment about section 21. And also section 25, which is the local resolution protocol.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So the local, I'm sure everybody's aware, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but the local resolution is a really helpful protocol that the Ombudsman will very often ask at the outset when they get a referral or a complaint. They will ask whether or not the authority has implemented the local resolution protocol, because they want to know that every effort's been made to resolve something locally before it's referred to the Ombudsman. So that's a really important protocol that obviously, you know, we keep under review, but it's hoped that that is utilised to avoid referrals to the Ombudsman if at all possible. I appreciate it's not always possible, but where it is, it's obviously a very useful protocol to have in place, and it is obviously endorsed by the Ombudsman. So I just wanted to bring those to everybody's attention, and obviously the figures in terms of, if you look at from May last year to September this year, we can actually utilise the local resolution process. So the statistics are there. I don't know. Yeah, it's not being used in the last 12 months anyway. So it's just a recommendation for the members, the committee, to note the report. Really, Chair.
Okay. Anybody have any observations on that? Section 6, but section 21, section 25? No. Okay, so we know what those observations. Okay, thank you. And then finally, then is the work programme that Carol has been beavering away at. Did you take on board? I suggested that some of those points that seem to be at the meeting, that we could put them as a standard agenda item. So hopefully you've all seen the proposed work programme. Does anybody have any observations?
No, just thanks to Carol really for that. I think it gives a really good structure for us moving forwards. It's nice to have it clearly documented.
Okay, thank you, Claire.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, so we're obviously all happy with that. That, unless you tell me different, Carol, is the end of the Standards Committee meeting.
I'll just stop the recordings.